During the time frame at the end, we will do a mini question and answer session to enter those questions through the chat functionality and get them answered by our experts here. As you know, each of our webinars are recorded and placed on our Dayton Superior YouTube channel, as well as our Dayton Superior website. So just search for product videos. These will be on a little bit later on, and an email will go out. So as I mentioned, we have Jake Clark here, and he's going to be talking to us about all of the different Paragon product solutions for your infrastructure needs, different variations of accessories, bar supports, post-tension, and much more than that. He is the Dayton Superior Product Development Engineer, originally from Youngstown, Ohio, and a Cleveland sports fan, but don't let that deter you from his abilities to teach us about Paragon. He's rolling his eyes at me. Jake began working at Dayton Superior the beginning of 2020, fantastic year for all of us. I worked with him quite a bit, and I remember meeting him for the first time after working with him for, I don't know, 6 months or so, because he came literally the day after we all got sent home. He studied and graduated with a degree in mechanical engineering from the University of Dayton. And this helped him in the development of our new products being launched. That's how I've worked with him quite a bit and his team. He has been specifically involved with the plastic accessories line design, as well as any updates, but always helps his peers in other new product developments as well. So, Jake, take it from here.
All right, thank you, Heidi. If my screen will go. There we go. All right, first off, I'd just like to say that this presentation is intended for training purposes only. So for technical specifications for these products mentioned in the training, please refer to our website for any questions. All right, today, like Heidi said, I will be walking through our Paragon product solutions. The lineup of products will include items you're familiar with and hopefully some products you guys haven't seen before. So for those of you who aren't familiar, Paragon is an American-made concrete accessory brand of which Dayton Superior is a sole provider of. The scope of products is vast and provides solutions for many different business sectors, including precast, tilt-up, infrastructure, and post-tension applications. The image on the top right of your screen shows all the products that we'll be going over in this presentation. So the first category I'm going to be discussing is general accessories that can be used across many different applications. First, we have the concrete test cylinders. In general, concrete cylinders are utilized to ensure that compressive strength requirements for a project are being met. These cylinders are filled during the duration of a concrete pour and tested periodically in the following days and weeks to track the increasing strength of the concrete. Once the required minimum compressive strength is measured, that concrete element, whether it's your tilt-up panel or precast element, could be lifted and put into place. Depending on the specifications for the application, different size cylinders may need to be used. We offer 2x4, 3x6, 4x8, and 6x12 cylinders. All these cylinders come with an attached lid, except for the bigger 6x12 cylinder that requires a removable lid that's ordered separately. The plastic specifications for these cylinders meet both the impact resistance and water absorption tests required by CRSI. Next, we have the hole-in-one covers. These are versatile covers that are used on floor slabs or other on-grade scenarios where a hole is temporarily exposed. These are used to prevent tripping, falling, and other accidents from occurring on the job site. There are 4 different size options that are all adjustable to meet the needs for your job site. There's 2 round options and 2 square options. If you look at the images, you'll notice that they're a high visibility orange color and have a beveled edge as for easy recognition and preventing trip hazards on the job site. When purchasing the hole cover, you will receive 3 bolts and 3 threaded wedges. Just 2 large screwdrivers are needed to install this hole cover. If you look at the round hole cover on the screen, you will notice that there are 3 slotted channels. First, you have to insert the black wedges into the underside of these channels. Next, you thread the bolt through the cover and into the wedge to secure the wedge onto the cover. After all 3 of those are kind of loosely attached to the hole, don't tighten them all the way. And after you verify that the bolts are spaced to the proper distance for the hole, tighten all but one of the bolts. Next, you place the cover over the hole, and using one of your screwdrivers, push the wedge against the outside of the hole and tighten the last bolt. Tightening this last bolt will secure the hole on top of the cover so that no one will trip over it. Next, we have the Paragon Rebar Safety Cap. These are designed to be used in applications where impalement protection is not required. Whenever dealing with exposed rebar at grade, it's important to cover the ends to prevent any incidents on the job site. To install these caps, all you have to do is firmly press the cap onto the piece of rebar, ensuring that the underside of the mushroom cap is touching the edge of the protruding rebar. There are small fins on this cap that allow for various sides of rebar to snugly and securely fit inside the cap so that these orange caps don't fall off after they're installed. Next, I'm going to get into some of the post-tension products. In general, post-tensioning is a method of pre-stressing a concrete element before it's loaded in its intended application to enhance the strength of that element. Post-tensioning allows for thinner panels, longer spans between supports, and reduces the risk of the concrete cracking once it's in use. First post-tension product I'm going to discuss are these pocket formers. This pocket former slides over the live end of the steel strand that will be tensioned after the concrete hardens. Once the formwork and pocket former are removed, a void remains in the concrete. This void allows easy access for the post-tension chuck to be inserted onto the steel strand. After that strand is chucked, it is then tensioned and then cut, and then the remaining void can be grouted over, so there's no visible remainders of the cable on the outside of the concrete surface. Next, we have the cable end caps. These end caps and clearance caps are used on half-inch diameter steel strands in post-tensional applications. If you look at the top image, you'll see two different styles of caps. The clearance cap is designed to go on the end of the strand that is already anchored in the concrete, also known as the dead end. If you look closely, you can see it has a finer point to it. This end butts up to the formwork, keeping that dead end strand away from the concrete surface. This reduces the risk of rust marks from appearing later on in the concrete's life. The other style of cap is the end cap. This is placed on the live end of the strand after it's tensioned, chucked, and cut. As with the clearance cap, this end cap reduces the risk of rust stains from appearing on the concrete surface after that void is grouted over. Next, we have intersectional chairs. These chairs support steel strand in slab on-grade applications, providing a specified amount of concrete cover. These are designed to support both 3/8 inch and half-inch diameter strands in post-tension applications. If you look at the image on the right side of your screen, you will notice that the chairs have tips at the top of the tabs. This ensures that the chair snugly hugs onto the steel strand so that if the cables move, the chairs will not fall off. There's a wide, stable base on these chairs, and it can hold cable from either direction. And there's offerings from 1.5 inches through 5 inches in half-inch increments, depending on whatever your application calls for. Next, I'm going to get into discussing some of the general infrastructure products. Infrastructure can cover many different applications, including roadwork, bridge construction, and drilled shafts. First off, we have dowel bars, caps, and chairs. In general, dowel bars are used in both construction and new construction and retrofit applications. The dowel bar's purpose is to improve the performance of joints between slabs. They keep slabs level with one another and are able to transfer the load from one member to the adjacent member. These chairs and caps are specifically designed to work in retrofit applications. In the case of the bottom left image, a slot is sawed out across a crack in the concrete. After the slots are made and cleaned out, a dowel bar with 2 caps and 2 chairs on it is placed in that slot. Next, that slot with the newly inserted dowel bar can be grouted over. This dowel bar that's inserted into the crack will now prevent the cracked concrete from spreading and will ensure that either side of the crack remains in plane with one another, maintaining good ride quality for people that are driving on that road. Next, we have grout retention discs. While on topic of dowel bars, I'd like to talk about these. These are lightweight plastic discs that snugly slide over the dowel bar. They are designed to prevent grout or epoxy from seeping from dowel holes. They help keep the anchoring material sturdy in place so that the dowel bar doesn't fall out of the hole. There are various sizes available depending on the diameter of your dowel bar on the various applications that you might need. Next, we have centralizers. In order to achieve the specified design strength of a drill shaft, it is important to maintain proper concrete cover throughout the entire length of that element. Centralizers can be used to center that piece of rebar in the center of a piling or drill shaft. They're constructed out of a high-strength plastic, so they won't rust or corrode. The centralizer, if you look at the images on the left, are composed of two rings that are shipped flat. When it comes time to install the centralizers, you have to snap those two rings together to form a spherical shape. After you do that, you can tie off the top and bottom of the intersections of that sphere onto your rebar. Now that piece of rebar that has the centralizers on it can be lowered into the drill shaft, and you will know that the piece of rebar will be properly spaced in the middle. And there are offerings for both 11-inch and 15-inch centralizers, depending on your needs. Next, I will go over some of the next product, the auger cork. Although these are plastic, they are called corks because they were originally made from a cork material. This auger cork is placed in the end of your 3-inch grout hose in order to prevent dirt or debris from getting in the hose when it is being lowered into the drill shaft. When it is time to start pumping the grout, the pressure from the pump blows out the cork and the drill shaft can begin filling with grout or concrete. And as most of you are probably familiar with plastic wheels, these plastic wheels provide proper rebar cover within various types of form. And when I refer to cover on plastic wheels, I'm referring to the distance from the outer surface of the rebar to the outer edges of the wheels. If you look at the above images, you'll notice that there are clips in the middle of the wheels that snugly fit over the rebar. And additionally, there are locking wheel options where once the wheel is secured over the rebar, it will not come off if the piece of rebar is moved around. So just keep an eye out for when you're ordering if you want the locking wheel or not. These come in a concrete gray color as to not be visible once the formwork is removed. Next, I'm going to get into some of the Paragon precast options. First off, we have the precast wire chairs that are used to support wire mesh and precast elements. These are molded. If you look at the image above, you will notice that these are molded out of a concrete gray plastic, and these contain a minimal footprint that is not visible from the surface of the concrete. If you look at the image again, you'll see that there are protruding fingers on the tops of the chairs. These are designed to snugly grip onto wire mesh as to remain on the mesh if the mesh is moved around a little bit. Next, we have a more unique product. We got the hog slat chairs. These chairs were designed to support rebar and slat flooring for swine bars. The chairs securely hold two pieces of rebar in place. And if you look at the top right image, you will notice that the slots in the floor create relatively long stretches of concrete that are not supported on either side. And in order for the floor to support the weight of heavy livestock while also maintaining gaps for proper drainage, a double layer of rebar is utilized. There are 3 different sizes of chairs available, and their descriptions indicate the size. So if you look at my screen, I highlighted an example. The first value denotes the size of the rebar that snaps into the top of the chair. The second value denotes the size of the rebar that fits into the middle of the chair. And the third value denotes the concrete cover from the middle piece of rebar to the bottom of the chair. And although these were initially designed for a very specific application, I'm sure that you guys could probably figure out other ways to use these chairs. Here we have another precast product. We have panel and bubble pads. These are designed to protect precast units during storage and transportation. They allow multiple concrete elements to be stacked without worrying about any surface defects from occurring. Both styles of products are constructed out of a high-strength plastic, and both of them have nail holes that can be used to secure them to wood, truck beds, or pallets. The bottom right image, you'll notice that the waffle pads have an open design that allows for air to flow between the concrete elements and the pads, ensuring that any moisture between those precast elements properly dries out. Here we have shims. These shims are constructed out of a high-strength polystyrene. They can be used to, these are utilized to align precast and tilt-up concrete elements, and they help correct any irregularities that may exist in the foundation that the elements are being placed on. They help line up walls to make sure that everything is nice and even. I'm finally going to go over some of the miscellaneous bar supports that can be used across many different applications. Here we have the Paragon Rebar concrete support chair. This chair, if you look at the image, has an open receptacle at the top of the chair for rebar to snap into. This eliminates the need for any wire to be tied between the chair and the rebar mat. The images, you will see that there are two different styles of chairs. On the top, you have a chair with the round base, and on the bottom, you have a chair without the round base. The chairs with the base are intended for more on-grade applications, whereas the chairs without the base are better well suited for applications where a smaller footprint is more desirable, like in precast or tilt-up. Next, we have the mesh chair. This chair is very similar to the previous chair, but the main difference is if you look at the top receptacle, it features a different profile that is better equipped to snugly grab onto wire mesh. This also has a round base that provides a stable support for gauge 6 through 10 mesh. The snug fit between the chair and the mesh panel eliminates the concern of the chair falling off if the mesh is moved around a little bit. And there are sizes ranging from 1 inch to 4 inch, depending on what your needs are. And here we have the Paragon tilt-up chair. These chairs were specifically designed for tilt-up panels, but can also be used in precast and other applications. They have an open design that allows for optimal aggregate flow around the support. They are molded out of a high-strength and high-performance gray concrete plastic that can straddle lower rebar mats. And the chair's color, coupled with the minimal footprint that you see on the bottom, makes for the chair being invisible from the surface of the concrete after the tilt-up panel is erected into place or the precast element is put into place. Now, I've covered a lot of different products in this presentation, so as always, please check out our website for additional information or for specific part numbers and specifications. Tech data sheets, product pages, handbooks, and more are easily accessible via the drop-down menus and search bar on our website. I will now hand this back over to Heidi so she could discuss the superior deal.
Awesome. Thanks, Jake. And who doesn't love a hog flying chair? I didn't see anybody chatting away on other different applications for those chairs. Are you still thinking? So yeah, while I talk about the deals going on for this month, if you want to get some questions in for Jake or Chuck or me, go ahead and enter it to the chat functionality there on Zoom. So this month's August Superior Deal is a couple things. Last week we went through the precast chemicals and we had a presentation on that last Tuesday. That can be found on the website if you missed it. But today, all the products except for the one which is the one we started with, the cylinder, are on special for the Paragon products. So all of them are included in the deal, along with precast chemicals, the J1A, the J2. You see them all listed there in on the slide. So contact your sales representative for details. And if you don't know that person, you can find them at daytonsuperior.com, customer service. As always, we want to thank you for attending, and you can contact us straight if you have a training need at training@daytonsuperior.com, and we'll take questions at this time. Okay, so remember we have new topics of interest every Tuesday at 1 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Today's presentation has been recorded. Like I said before when we started, I'll send something out a little bit later on, letting you know when that's available on YouTube as well as Dayton Superior. Any questions, you can go ahead and type them in. Unless Jake did such an awesome, thorough job that you don't have any. Oh, yes. Okay. Can the hole covers be used in different applications?
Yes.
Like stay-in-place decking, plywood, and concrete? Is that a possible?
For concrete, for wood forming, yes. For wood forming, they can be used in place, but for stay-in-place decking, no. There isn't enough surface area for the wedges to hook onto.
Their question is stay-in-place decking, plywood, concrete. So the answer is?
For stay-in-place decking, no. For plywood, yes. And for any other formwork, yes.
Okay, great. Thanks, Chuck. Anybody else? All right, then I want to thank you all for attending. And you can get this presentation as soon as it's available. I'll let you know. And everybody have a happy Tuesday. Bye.